When I walked into beauty school and finally felt a sense of belonging, it had everything to do with I finally made a decision for myself. When so much of my early childhood was about making decisions for other people or what teachers wanted, parents wanted, I did this for myself. And I think that's one of the reasons I really felt like I belonged. And I was in hair, and I loved being in hair and hanging out with mannequins and dressing however I wanted or doing my hair however I wanted, all those things that so many of us share in common, but I just felt like I belonged. I'm in the empowerment business, and when anyone asks me what I do, I really focus on my purpose, and that is to empower the people that I love. In my business and in my life, one of my passions is infusing personal development education in everything I do because of that. And I think no matter how skilled we are technically, if we struggle with believing that we can live the life that we dreamed of, unless we really believe it and believe in ourselves, we struggle. And so self-esteem, it's everything. Yeah, I think there's a quote or something that says so much about success is about showing up. And I learned very early on to show up. And one of the biggest pivotal moments of my entire career and really set the trajectory was my second month of beauty school. I went to beauty school on the East Coast, and we took a field trip to the New York IBS show. What happened because of showing up that day is that I was able to make connections to people that I stayed connected with all through school, that I kept showing up, and they'd call me and ask for my help, and I became an educator right out of beauty school and created a beautiful career out of showing up that day at New York IBS. I've always had passion. Passion is really what's always fueled me. And as a female leader, sometimes I maybe rubbed people the wrong way. And sometimes people called me a bitch. And I was struggling with a group of people that were kind of bullying in my business. And JP and I had a chat about it, and he came into my office, and he always was like my biggest fan, and still to this day is. And he said, Nina, I would rather have a passionate bitch working for me than somebody that didn't care. He knew how much I cared. And so he gave me permission to just be myself. In 2007, I had a nervous breakdown, which I talk about openly and freely. It's nothing to be ashamed of, but I hit a wall. And it was a very dark time for me. And so I took a time out and put myself in treatment. And I just didn't know, like, if I was gonna make it. I just didn't know. And I came across this quote, and it's about gratitude. And as I talk about a lot, it saved my life. And it says, gratitude unlocks the fullness of life. It turns what we have into enough and more. It turns denial into acceptance, chaos to order, and confusion to clarity. It can turn a meal into a feast, a house into a home, and a stranger into a friend. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. And that's by Melody Beatty. And life's hard, and for some of us it's harder than for others. And whenever I get knocked down, I get into gratitude. It's not cliche, it's not a quote on a Facebook page. It absolutely sets the tone for everything I do. I was inducted into the Hall of Fame of the Career College Association back in like 1992. And the reason it was such a trip was because my beauty school that I graduated from was a member of this association. What I didn't know at the time, it's like a lobbying group or whatever, but I was 20 years old, like I didn't know anything. And I was a terrible student in school, and I didn't think I was gonna finish school because I thought I was gonna get kicked out of school. So when I got the phone call that they nominated me because of my early success, after I graduated, I was already working in my career at Paul Mitchell, And when I got the call, I was like, oh my gosh, I thought they hated me. And no one from a beauty school had ever been inducted into this association's Hall of Fame. It was all culinary and like engineering and all this stuff. So I was selected, and they flew me to Washington, D.C. to be able to stand in front of a group of people so distinguished and to share the story of a lost kid that found their passion was a big deal to me. And I got to tell them how important we as hairdressers, and how they needed to listen to us and pay attention to us because we mattered. And that was a big deal. That was a really big deal.